This video is about 10 common but strange guinea pig behaviours, including some that new owners might worry about. So it can take a long time to really understand your piggies, and I get asked behaviour questions quite a lot, so I'm really hoping this video will be useful for anyone who wants to understand their piggies better and read their behaviours easier. Some of these are more related to baby piggies and behaviours you might see within the first couple of weeks of bringing guinea pigs home, but most of them are behaviours that you'll continue to see as your piggies get older. So let's get stuck right in. If you didn't know this about guinea pigs, it might sound really strange to begin with, and that's that guinea pigs eat their own poop. The posh biological name for this is cecotrophy. Rabbits also do it, and what you'll see is your guinea pig will just be sat there minding their own business, and then they might sort of sit up slightly, something's happening, and then they will bend down, and when they come back up, they'll be munching at something. That something is a poop. And I know it sounds sort of disgusting, but it's quite a subtle behaviour and some owners might not even realise it at first. And they do this because of the way their digestion works, so most of what they eat will just go into normal poops that they'll leave all around the cage, all around the house, basically everywhere. And then some poops get special treatment, so they've got nutrients and a bit more goodness in them, and they're the ones that get recycled, and your piggies will eat them straight from their bottom, so you don't even see these special poops. But if you see your guinea pigs doing this, then don't worry, it's completely normal behaviour, and it's actually a really good sign that their digestion is working well. If your guinea pig is ever ill or has to go in for an operation, afterwards you might find that they do this behaviour a lot more, and that's because there's been a period of time where they haven't been eating or not been eating as much, and they need to sort of get back as much energy as they can. So especially after an operation, some guinea pigs might eat almost all their poops, so don't be worried if you don't see many poops around the cage at all. They're probably eating quite a lot of them. Now at number 2 we have lunging and nipping at each other. So guinea pigs are social animals, we know this, we know they're better off kept in pairs or small groups, but with social behaviours comes some sort of dominance and the need to establish a hierarchy with a boss pig at the top and then other ones coming down in different ranks. Lunging and nipping behaviour is when a more dominant piggy sort of goes for a less dominant piggy. They might have their mouth quite open, but they rarely make contact and they don't mean to hurt that other piggy. If they did mean to hurt each other, you'd see a lot of other aggressive behaviours, such as really loud teeth chattering. The submissive piggy will also not be backing down in this case, and that's the key difference between when these behaviours escalate into a fight and when they're just normal, low-level dominance. And that's what most of lunging and looking like they're going to bite each other really is. It's perfectly normal for guinea pigs, and it's just the boss pig sort of telling a subordinate piggy off and saying, remember, I'm the boss. At number 3 we have chasing and mounting, which can be related again to dominance, but it can also be a thing that females do when they come into heat. Some people wonder when they've brought 2 female piggies home and then they see them mounting each other that, oh my god, maybe I've got a male and a female by accident. Now it's always good to check, but it's also good to be aware that females will mount each other, especially when they come into season, which lasts for a few days, maybe every 3 or 4 weeks. Whilst chasing and mounting can look pretty aggressive to us, it usually only happens in little bouts and then it's over with, and again it's just another low-level dominance behaviour that's perfectly normal for piggies. Behaviour number 4 is freezing, and this is when a piggy, more likely a young piggy, suddenly becomes unresponsive, their eyes are wide open, and it's sort of like they've forgotten who they are or what they're doing. In young and older piggies, this can be a reaction to a noise that is unfamiliar or they don't like the sound of, and sometimes they'll make a little rumble noise every so often or whenever they hear this noise. And it can be something as silly as phone notifications, noises going on outside such as birds, or random noises around the house. After a little while though, they will snap out of it and return to normal, and this behaviour is basically just a defence mechanism against predators. At number 5, we've got squealing when out of the cage, and there's a difference here between squealing and squeaking. So squeaking is usually a happy noise, a kind of excited feed me, whereas squealing is more of a I'm afraid, I'm on my own, I'm out in the open and I feel threatened. And it's usually seen in very young piggies when they're taken out of their cage and put in an environment that they don't know and there's no cover for them, and when they're away from their cage mates as well. Young piggies rely on other piggies to feel safe more than adults do, and when they don't feel safe, that's when they'll do a sort of squealing noise. So if your piggy is doing this and looking very scared, you can try and comfort him, but the easiest way to stop it is to put them back in the cage and reunite them with their cage mates. Number 6 is running away and hiding. I get so many questions from people saying my guinea pig always runs away from me, and unfortunately it's a sort of behaviour that is instinctively drilled into them. And say Phoebe and Roxy, even though I've owned them for almost half a year now, they will still run away from me when I come in the room or when I do something that takes them off guard. So if we understand that it's a natural instinct for piggies and it's going to be really hard for them to get over it completely, and many will never get over it completely, it's easier for us to just see it as part of their behaviour. They're not terrified of you, they're not running away because they hate you or you're doing anything to scare them, it's just their instinct. And again, as they get older and more chilled out, you should see less and less of this. If you are worried they're not improving and they are just running away and hiding and scared all the time, then I do have quite a lot of videos on taming and working with your piggies and building trust, bonding with them, that sort of thing. Number 7 is chewing the cage bars, and this is something I don't really have that much experience with myself because I've always had cage setups where the bars aren't easily accessible by the guinea pigs, but they can get into a bad habit of doing this, and it can be due to boredom or loneliness or just lack of stimulation. So if your piggy is doing this a lot, then I would look at first getting them a friend if they're living on their own. Look at the cage size, does it meet those minimum requirements, and can you give them more enrichment and stimulation in the cage? You could buy them some different hideys, different tunnels, things to play with, but make sure they're safe for piggies. Or can you take them out of the cage more and say put them in the run for garden time, or take them into a room for floor time where they've got more space to explore. Other sort of undesirable behaviours are digging under the fleece and chewing on beds. They can just get into the bad habit of doing them, but if you give them more enrichment, then it could help with these too. At number 8, we have grooming. So piggies are social animals, but you don't actually see them grooming each other that often. You might see the occasional lick or nuzzle at an ear, which is sort of a sign of bonding and friendship. More likely is you'll come to realise piggies can be quite greedy and selfish, and they don't like sharing their personal space too much with other piggies, but they do like having them around in general. So whilst you might not see grooming so often, one thing that's sort of weird and you might see is eye licking. Now, I know I'm not alone in this. I know there's other people out there that have seen their guinea pigs do this, and it happened with me with Willow. So Willow had quite a runny eye at times, and Lyra would start going up to her and licking it, and it would be like, no, get off her eyeball. So it can happen, and I think what is going on there is if there is something underlying wrong with the eye, maybe an infection starting, then other guinea pigs in the cage can pick up on this, and their response to it is to go over and say, I can help, I can clean this for you. Unfortunately, whilst they've got good intentions, they could be introducing more bacteria and making the situation worse. So if you see eye licking, especially if it's always the same eye of one side, then consider taking your piggy to the vet. It might be that they need a short course of antibiotic eye drops just to treat some sort of infection. At number 9, I had to include this one, and it's popcorning and running laps. So normally it's pretty obvious when a guinea pig is excited and they jump up into the air and they run laps. Same sort of thing as bunnies and all sorts of other pets, to be honest. But sometimes it can be a little bit strange and a little bit worrying when guinea pigs do this in a cozy bed. So if they're surrounded on all sides by soft fleecy fabric, or they're in a hammock and they start popcorning, sometimes they can get really overexcited and they sort of twist and turn to either side and sometimes flip upside down, and it can look as if they're having a seizure and they're not quite okay. But if they carry on popcorning and they go off and they're running laps of their cage, then don't worry, it can happen and it can look a bit strange and a bit worrying, but it's actually completely normal. And finally, at number 10, we have licking and nibbling. And this is a common behaviour that guinea pigs do to interact with us owners. Some people say they don't like it when their guinea pig tries to bite them, and they say, do they hate me? But there's a difference between biting and nibbling. Guinea pigs rarely bite, if ever. I've never had a guinea pig in almost 15 years go to bite me. But a little bit of light nibbling is nothing to be afraid of, and you'll quickly see that your guinea pig is not going to hurt you. Sometimes they've got a preference for fingernails, and you sort of learn to make sure they don't nibble your fingernails, because sometimes they don't want to let go of fingernails. And licking is really common. It could be due to the fact that your skin tastes a bit salty and they like that, but also both behaviours can be sort of encouraging you to do something for your piggy, such as maybe put them back in the cage so they can have a pee, or just get around to feeding them. So don't worry about this behaviour, just enjoy your piggies communicating with you in this way. And that is everything for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something new about your piggies, or it was good if you're researching to get guinea pigs for the first time. Phoebe has come to say goodbye, so as always, if you've got any questions, then just leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye bye!